September 17, 2022. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this thing here. I'm going to do the part number 2 of this video here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do part 2 of this video. It's true, royals were involved in it. Joe Biden was involved in it. American entire US Congress, government, White House, all the presidents were involved in it. From Bill Clinton to George Bush, German government. You're mostly familiarized with Merkel, but also Olaf Scholz was involved in it. Israeli government was involved in it. Prime Minister Modi from India was involved in it. Putin was involved in it. Slovenian now president Borut Pahor was involved in it. It's a huge deal because since 2010, when I started this operation about MK Ultra, which is much more revealing than just what was done to me, all my banking accounts, all my options to receive a support, financial support from anybody, simply were blocked, controlled, and made sure that you wouldn't get anything through the banking system to me. So I should say that I wouldn't get anything. It's a big job. This is a huge job. It takes a man to get this done. Not only because of what I stated. Today I'm lucky. I get 7 hours of sleep. That's a big bonus for me. That's a big deal for me. For you out there, it's not. I know it's not. As I go through these pictures here, I see this lady right there. And on her left hand, there is this Udba individual, killer, murderer, assassin that destroyed my life, engages for 28 years already in torture, and he sits now in Slovenia as a president. 26 years he tortured. He would come here in this house and engage in torture in this house, in his residence, throughout Slovenia with his politicians, but that's okay. He says, I bet he was happy. I posted a video yesterday. He states on his news, published 3 hours ago, that it's good that always wins in the end. Nobody hated me more than this guy. His mentor was Milan Kučan. This is a big job. This is a bigger job than British royals. This is a bigger job than White House. This is a bigger job than government in Berlin. This is a bigger job than United Nations. And despite everything I have stated, I hope I'm bigger than evil. Because evil in this case is giant. It's huge. Prince Charles alone stated me that this video I should not get into. Joe Biden stated me this is the issue I shouldn't get into. Well, the thing is that you threw me out of the United States of America by blocking me employment. Blocking me employment, you blocked me the right to file for political protection anywhere in the world. In more than a dozen countries you blocked me. Then you proceeded and you blocked every way for me to receive a dime. You eventually, when you threw me out of the United States of America, you didn't stop with the torture, hijacking, abductions, trafficking to Slovenia, to this residence where you gathered with the Vladimir Putin, with the Serbian politicians. You didn't stop there. You continued with operation. The less it is likely, the less, because the less it is likely, the less it is likely, the more it is likely. The more is factual. You understand this meaning of the word? No, you don't, and you're right. But in your world, the less it is likely, the more it is likely, most likely doesn't exist. But in this case, it does. Because this is what was used for cover-up operation. Very unlikely something like this would have happened, even to somebody like myself. But it did happen. And it's exactly why it happened. They looked for the circumstances like this to look the least suspicious as possible to get the things done. So it takes a huge me to get this stuff done. And as I stated, I got 7 hours of sleep. It's a good thing. It's a big thing, despite everything I stated to you. Yeah, Bart Pacher stated that it's always good that wins in the end. And even if once it wins in the end good, whatever the good is in his point, it's still not over, is what he states. Na koncu vedno zmaga dobro, če ne zmaga dobro, pomeni, da še ni konec. I think this guy is so fucking wicked that it's beyond wicked. Another issue I received today, and I'm gonna see this on, it doesn't matter, but it was a photo that Princess Anne promised me. She would, I gotta see this, if I'm fortunate enough to pull this out. If I'm not, we're just gonna go on with this video. And how am I gonna go with the video? Well, the video that I recorded yesterday, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go next to with the phone I'm recording with this video, with this phone, second phone. I'm gonna go over the video to clarify the issues, because that's a very good video. That's a better video than I'm really pleased with that video. Maybe that middle finger that I used, it's their biggest weapon, is a sleep deprivation. Next to the torture they're engaged in, this was like their biggest weapon. Look, it's already the picture's already gone, but these are the people that engaged in this. They don't play any importance really, because it takes a man to get this stuff done. It takes a real man. It takes more than a man. It doesn't take like Charlie Sheen, who was involved, man and a half to get these things done. It definitely doesn't get. This is extremely fishy. There's one picture here. I bet you recognize this guy. And he's got flames around him. And it says, he made his beat, and now he might actually have, he didn't play any role. He didn't do anything. If it was up to him, anything like this, nothing would have ever come out. He claimed absolutely everything. He claimed he made human brain, actually. That was his invention. That's big he. It was just a photo of Princess Anne. And I just want to let you know how much you really, really mean to me. You don't really mean to me shit. There was a news that King Charles would have to abdicate in 2 years. The thing is that there was a news that somebody pulled the flag or whatever it is, a bunch of little attacks. Let me tell you, it was all pre-arranged here inside of the room. Man, you had me sit in the fucking chair. You had Charles next to you had other people next to, and you had people just chair ready next to my chair, next to where others sit, and it would be just they would just walk inside of the room, sit in the chair next to me, and it would be blah, 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 blah. The only thing you see is they have you on the computer drugged up news. And it would be this attack, that attack, third attack, fourth attack, five, whatever fucking attack, and then it will be Charles. Well, one time to me, after he presented me barrage of these attacks during the funeral, at one point in time I'm gonna have enough. Like I have something to do with it in that sense. These people don't mean nothing. These people are human shit, waste, dung, a problem. They don't solve any kind of problems. They're paid to make problems because they profit within the problems. But I don't have a place to go to. I was born here in this country, Slovenia. And next to what I stated to you, this is where I was born. I don't know any other alternative to this. I tried in 12 other countries after what was done to me in the United States of America and even Canada. In Britain, I wouldn't even go and try. You get my point? When Charles came here in 95 and 96, they looked down on him like shit. And Prince Charles, shit in his pants consequently. Milan Kučan was the one who took down, prior to him, Dutch from Netherlands, Norwegian, Swedish, and other royalties from Europe with screaming, yelling, hurling at them, had other people engaging them and harassing them, insulting them in the face, so they would never ever pop up here again, and stopped with what I stated at King Charles. So you can imagine the pressure that was on him, and even more so as they look at him, the Aryan that appeared, he was the Aryan. He was nothing other than Aryan. Because by 96, I endured so much beatings, harassment, intimidation, including from family of my own under MK Ultra, whenever trafficked from the United States of America here to Novo Mesto, to Slovenia, that I wouldn't even fucking see my own people here from this house anymore. This is a kitchen area. This here, did you see? This is a kitchen area. This chair that you see here was inside of the kitchen area, like this. I got myself, that's why I'm gonna use as a help to myself, because it's such a weak light here inside of the kitchen, then you don't actually see anything. This is how my mother wanted. It doesn't work. She wanted all crazy environment here inside when I start doing this stuff. This is the chair where you see that blue thing right there, is where my father sat in the 1995. And I was sitting right next to him like this. Like this. I was sitting next to him. And he was sitting right there. And he was looking straight ahead. He was looking straight ahead. I was drugged up. By the time I received so much beating, torture already in occupied parts of Croatia, in Africa, in Serbia, that I didn't even understood anymore at times, because of him especially, whom I am dealing with. He would sit right there, whatever he would be doing, thinking, whatever, and then all of a sudden he would jump. It's a small guy otherwise. I don't know if he's meter 70 or something like that. He would jump and jump to me like a schizophrenic, like a total schizophrenic. Jump to me and start beating me up. It was his wish come true. Me being drugged up in front of an individual who was torturing me, pointing rifles at me, tried to pin me with a hip forks, kill me with a paddle in the boat. All his fucking life since I know one. Now I found myself drugged up at age 23 right here. And it was a procedure that went on for hours, during which I eventually started to pray. So I knew it was my father, that he realizes that the stuff, whatever they told him about me, is actually not true. As a matter of fact, that he understands that he's my father before I'm going to lose my nerves and do whatever I can to liberate myself. That's a bad news. I didn't act, and violence went on for another probably maybe even 2 years. And then sometimes after 2 years, I grabbed him, and the only thing I remember, I started punching. And since then, he would not even when I was drugged up, whenever he would do torture, beatings, he would do this in front of other people. He had other people around him, and they had me sit, and he would come from around. He would go around, and you're not aware of nothing when you're drugged up. And he would start to punch and do this stuff. That was my father. Based on what I stated to you right now, you can imagine I didn't even want to have anything to do with my father, with my own family members. I started to view my family members as strangers, deliberately. I started to block them in my mind. You have seen what my niece have done, what kind of a sickening stuff that was. I have posted the video about my niece. Well, you know, once you reject even your mother and your father and your sister, the niece, if you ask me, she never was normal. She never was normal in the first place. Then pretty much with your countryman, it's over. And it all started in Slovenia, with beatings in front of the partisan memorials, which were video recorded, and then it was distributed to the general population, to a wider and wider and wider circle, to turn everybody against me. And then it went through the villages, from house to house, and then it went to the cities and so on. I'm not going to say unnoticed, but completely covered up by international society, such as Organization United Nations was initiator of the crime. It was already arranged by the China and by the Russia in 1995. As early as 1995, I already was brought inside of the United Nations Assembly. Told in the face by the representatives that I am already dead, walking man. Nothing ever will work out for me. And so it was a long, long, long road. And when I stated to you that this royal people don't mean nothing, this is just a trouble that really destroys your life, smiles, laughs, and does basically whatever is convenient afterwards, whichever way tide turns, and then always sides with that side and back and forth and so on. So this is pretty much the way it is. They don't mean anything. They didn't make any difference. in my life. The only difference they have made in my life was actually for worse. Now I'm going to go over this recording. This Aryan idiot that came to Slovenia. I myself, as you can see, I don't even look like any Aryan. But this is what I was left. This is what these people have left me with. This is what it came to. I have to struggle actually. I'm 51 almost, and with nothing other than cancer and broken spine. That's all there is. In 2015 was labeled as a paranoid schizophrenic, and the Slovenian state, despite everything they have done, did not issue any kind of apology, did not receive nothing other than laughter, scorn from United Nations representative, United States of America, at this Black Lives Matters, Hollywood turned completely the world of lies against me, contributed nothing other than to destruction. This is people just receive the cash, money, and this is just the agenda that goes on. But like I said, I got nothing. I'm left with nothing. I'm left with nothing, but we got. But whatever I have, I will never give away, regardless of it. So, to today's president of Slovenia, Borut Pahor, Milošević, Karadzic, Aleksandar Vučić, Milorad Dodik, Ljubljana mayor, Mr. Zoran Janković, I don't know what it exactly means that good always wins in the end. And even once it wins, it's still not over. That sounds to me fucking spooky. But let's go on with this recording. Oh, this thing is still recording, and I'm not gonna go and do this stuff again because I can't. I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't have so much time for you. I'm very sorry because of your overwhelming support I received. I do have to go and find a job, find employment, and expose myself to the police violence, to the psychiatry violence. I video recorded in Slovenian language, however, I was posted recording an individual whom I have recognized just about, I don't know, a week ago in Šmarješke Toplice, not too far from here, who worked for psychiatrist Peter Karč, who prided himself with setting up people at the work locations in area, in entire region of the Lenska, not only Novo Mesto, and was used on opportunity also in Ljubljana city, which is the main city of Ljubljana, to set the people up with impossible work conditions. So therefore he used employers and employees with their supervisors to make life impossible to a lot of people, till those got into the conflicts with police. Eventually he destroyed them through work history, so those people would stay jobless. There would be homicides involved, family tragedies in his crime ordeals, police altercations. It is estimated, what I was told by Slovenian government officials involved in MKUltra, that this individual eventually killed over 400 people. So that he covered, since 1998, he would meet once per week with the police director and with his substitutes, such as Janez Ogorin, who is director at the present at Novo Mesto police station. However, since 1999, every morning he spent half an hour, 30 minutes, arranging details about the crime against whomever, with person I stated, and other officials. Every morning before he would go to his work location, he stopped at the police station and he started a briefing during this meeting arrangement of whatever is going to be done for the crime. Let me explain something. I am doing this video. I'm doing this video because in 1995 there was no German recorded in Poland. In 1995. That was already years after fall of Soviet Union. But once beatings and torture started in Poland, stuff they were doing to me in Slovenia, other in Russia and Serbia and so on. And since I claimed that I started to see myself, no, the beatings were so severe in front of the partisan memorials, and that's just the craziest thing about it, because my grandfather was a head, a leader of resistance, a secretary in the city of the Novo Mesto, occupied by the Italy and by the Germany during the World War II city, from where he supplies the neighboring area partisans, the resistance against the Nazis and against the fascists, with very much necessary medications, all the way to Kochevsky Rog. He received medals for his bravery that very, very few people have in Slovenia for the World War II. This was extremely respected individual by all partisans, by the people. He was respected by United Nations alone. He had worked actually for United Nations. I'm not fucking around. This is not a joke. This is real. So this video I'm doing right now, I'm doing because once this stuff started to happen in Poland and in Czech Republic and in Slovakia, in Poland was about 2 million Polish people that started to claim that they are Germans. So I alone, who was in front of the beaten up from house to house in Slovenia for no fucking reason whatsoever. The only thing I was claiming is because I'm German and this and that. I started to believe that the World War II is not over. And this I started to believe because in my head it was written that somebody have to retaliate me. Somebody have to retaliate. There's got to be a justice in this world. And as they started to call me a Nazi and fascist, I started to see myself from a very, very wrong perspective, as part of something I had no connection to. From my mother's side, her brother was killed during the World War II in a battle with the Germans. Out of nowhere, this thing came. Out of beatings, torture, out of resentment, out of anger, out of frustration. And the same thing happened possibly in Poland. For what I stated, almost like 2 million people started to claim they are German minority in Poland. That, however, gave Kaczynski brothers, Lech Kaczynski and Jarosław Kaczynski, mentors of Andrzej Duda, that's a Morawiecki, and Andrzej Duda, that's right now Polish Prime Minister and President of Poland, the same type of legacy, the same type of political background as to Milan Kučan here in Slovenia, and they started to persecute the Nazis that did not exist anywhere, kill people left and right, back and forth. The climax of this killing was arranged with Moscow, with Medvedev, with Lavrov, with Putin, talking about the Kaczynski, and it resulted in a plane crash of 2010. So just I want you to understand why am I exactly doing this video. This is a big deal, it's a big deal, it's a big thing. It doesn't take a man, it doesn't take a man and a half It takes more than Charlie Sheen and Hollywood. It takes more than goofy fucks. It takes a real person that does it for less, even with a cancer and with a broken spine and without your financial support and so on and so forth. You understand? That's why this video, this is continuation therefore of the part 2, in which I have, with the fingers even indicated, great disappointment about Polish, Ukrainian, whom I defend. Now, isn't that ridiculous? Ukrainian, whom I greatly defend, and I did defend it. I defended Polish, Ukrainian, Czech, Slovak, Slovenian, Croatian since 1995. I bleeded for these people. In a video I'm referring to right now, when you see me pointing out with the finger to fuck out, precisely I'm referring to issues like involving like this man here that you see. His name is Belbek. This is the guy here. This is a guy that is straight connected to Zelensky. And is completely Zelensky is bot. This is the first thing I'm going to clarify. That's like the most important stuff for me to clarify about Zelensky. Zelensky is an individual that is something like a Donald Trump, something like Elon Musk, something like Zuckerberg, something like Bill Gates, something like the whole palette of people with some not necessarily have even done evil to me, or with some probably would even help me if they only could have. Definitely Elon Musk is not one of them. But when it comes to Bill Gates and some other people that knew something about this case, there was just a lot of people that sympathized with me. But because of the multitude, because of the business, because of basically what went on, they didn't have, the British royals at large, they didn't have much overview, they didn't have much strength to change anything really. So this is supposedly Ukrainian success. It's Ukrainian success just like is Zelensky. It's the same kind of Ukrainian success. Or let's say Petro Poroshenko. It's a Ukrainian success, period. The worst thing about this article, you cannot even see anything, but he does have this construction, architecture, business, Belbek Bureau. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna do this yourself. You're gonna Google and you're gonna do it yourself. I cannot. I have to do my stuff. I gotta move on with all. Here. This is the individual right here. Slava Belbek. That's his name. This is just one person. This is really not. This is not. That he caused this thing or something like that. But this is just one person who definitely got on my nerve. He was involved in MK Ultra. He extorted with exactly the same issues as the Russians did, as Serbs did. If you're gonna say anything, and then it's gonna be nothing. And what exactly did he mean by if you're gonna say anything? Well, in a previous video, which concerns, and it's also you could say it's the main purpose of this video. Yeah, I could also say it's the main purpose of this video. Today is raining outside as hell. A big concern with Ukrainian people right now. because from what I see in the media is posted, Germans don't keep their promise, German tanks did not reach Ukraine, and so on and so forth. And it's all this stuff, it's all interconnected with one another. All these issues have a deep, deep interconnection with one another. Why the hell would Germans not send weaponry to Ukraine? What is in the head of Olaf Scholz? Even worse, maybe Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron is French, because this German issue is much bigger than German. It does not concern Germany. I have spoken to you in previous video about Spring of the Nations, which never reached any potential in Slovenia. I explained to you that in '92, presidential candidate Ivan Kramberger was assassinated in Slovenia. And these are all the things, therefore, the country that became independent in '91, the first thing that happened is pro-Serbian, pro-Yugoslav, as they call themselves, which is nothing other than Greater Chetnik Serbian state, have nothing to do with the communism. All through the assassins connected to this Belgrade system, from Ljubljana, from Slovenia Ljubljana, connected to the Serbian Belgrade system, called themselves as a communists. They call themselves Yugoslav communists, such as Milan Kučan, Borut Pahor, Fajon, Potrč, Miran Potrč, Danilo Turk, and so on. These are just people that were part of the UDBA. UDBA was an extremely notorious organization, more notorious than KGB. All through they tried to convince me that every country had its protective agency, security agency. This UDBA served during the federation of the Yugoslav republics to the sole purpose, which was extermination of the natives in Slovenia, in Croatia, in Bosnia, Montenegro, Macedonia, and so on. That was the sole purpose of UDBA. UDBA would just go, and if you didn't see the Serbian way, if they told you marry Serbian woman or marry Serbian man, you just headed for the ground. Death was the sentence. This is the way it was, either through forced unemployment, from what I stated to you, you became part of the troubling part of society, or they jailed you if you publicly tried to manifest. It was enough that you mentioned co-worker or something against the system. You disappeared. Even they had this island known as Goliotok, and you were dead. Communism is evil these days. All through, I didn't wage the war against the communists. This is not the war against the communists. But what we see these days is China supporting Russia in ethnic genocide cleansing against Ukraine is disgusting. This is disgusting. This gives the world pretty good damn idea about what goes on. I don't think I can agree with Uyghur minority, which I somehow believe is going to be in their best interest to become part of Greater China. I was so stupid. It was time like this. It makes me understand that once they wage the war against own Ukrainian people, that something is this communism, this is a Nazism, this is a fascism. These people are closer to fascism, Nazism than anything else. This is what was the issue also in this Yugoslavia. That's exactly what the issue was.
once Yugoslavia had fallen apart, there were many people interested in taking lead in the newly formed independent Slovenian state. Reached independence in '91, and we have a whole set of politicians which played opposition to Milan Kučan, who was the biggest at the time. There's other politicians such as Lojze Peterle, Janez Janša, Dmitry Rupel, way already forgotten, killed in my opinion, too. Mr. Pučnik, Jože Pučnik, and I have some other people also that played minor roles. They were also in the picture. Well, Pučnik did definitely not fit into this category. When it comes to Peterle, Dmitry Rupel, Janez Janša, Kacin, all these politicians, I can assure you, they played a fake position to Milan Kučan, Borut Pahor, Tanja Fajon, and so on and so forth. You know, I had a large breakfast this morning, and so I have to do my best to get rid of this excessive calories. I'd rather put this to work. That's why this exercise, that's why I'm doing this exercise. And also bear in mind, English is not my native language. I'm Slovenian. I spent close to 13 years abroad with some 11 and a half, whatever it was, in the United States of America. Something like that. 13 years in the US. And I did not exit the United States of America between 95 and mid-2006. Never should you see me between 95 and 2006 anywhere in the world, with exception to Ecuador, which is located in South America, and this is where my ex-wife was from. Indian, native Indian, indigenous Indian from Ecuador. That's how much I was of a Nazi. That was my ex-wife. She was also older. Behind all this, however, there was something else. It was a completely different world that started to twist around me, with the hijackings in which Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, Central American Agency, CIA, spy agency, Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and all American presidents, Congress people were involved. It was nothing other than human trafficking, hijacking. You know, when I said this older lady, yeah, she was quite smart. She got her way things done too. I have a visit, and I'm going to avoid that. Then I'm going to go back inside. So I don't want to go too much philosophical and too far away from it, from this point, from this video, from this issue. This is very, very important for me. This is extremely important video for me, and it's important for a lot of Czech people, for a lot of Slovakian, Polish people, Ukrainian people whom I blasted at large. Okay, that was just a screen that turned off, that's cool. Whom I have blasted at large in a previous video. And so I want to somewhat correct these issues. I want somewhat, I mentioned Montenegrin people, I didn't mention, let's say, Belarus people. Listen, let me set this record straight. I mentioned a video in a link that they tried to arrange a marriage between me and between Montenegrins and between Russians, Russian females, and so on and so forth. No, not really. No. It wasn't about arranging marriage. That's actually part of the problem. That's actually a big part of the problem. It was about the lies. It was the same kind of lies, like the lies of, let's say, Prince Andrew's daughters, that they're going to be my wives. There's a lot of ladies, when they took me around the world, were interested in me. And the only thing they did was they give the fuck out finger to those ladies and telling them that, hey man, you know what I mean. So what exactly was the shit about these ladies? They just wanted to get, like, for me, like a facial recognitions. Well, what kind of facial recognitions? What kind of a facial recognitions are this? What is the shit all about? Probably was way more a lot of ladies that I embraced when it comes to Eastern Europe, in Russia than in Ukraine. I'm gonna tell you like this. They had some Serbian women that looked good in Serbia. And the idea behind all this was that they wanted to convince the West that they are just the right option for the West, opposed to Poland, opposed to Czech Republic, opposed to Ukraine foremost, opposed to Slovenia, opposed to Croatia, and so on. They wanted to get some sort of smile. They wanted to get some form of well, they just wanted to get, for me personally, a yes for the war in Ukraine, to put it plain, short, and simple. The war in Croatia, the war in Bosnia, and the war in Ukraine. That's all it was. That's all it was. That's basically the whole reason behind all this. Now they use a very, very extremely dirty tactics when it comes to that. On one end, I was worried, according to the British royals, exceeding $500 billion. On the other hand, I was not allowed to have a single woman. That's a strange stuff. Eventually, they started to involve the ladies that, well, I don't think that's geographically limited, but in every country, the ladies alone know. There are ladies that are more appealing, and there are ladies that are less appealing. Every female is aware of that. That's a sensitive issue I don't like to get into. And finally, it's not really the factor that should decide about therefore physical chemistry, appearance on a human relationship or long-term relationship between the two. However, when I saw these politicians literally fucking around back and forth, all kinds of stuff that I had to participate, people that were trying to prove me wrong at whatever costs, everything I was doing, I came to the conclusion that I'm not the one who is violating the law. I'm not the one who is engaging in human trafficking, hijacking, torture, beatings, terror, death threats. They are nobody to tell absolutely anything. Absolutely nobody is to decide anything about me. Now, if I'm worth so much money, which they instilled in my head during MK Ultra, then I should be at least the one who would choose the female based on my own preferences, regardless of it. So this was just murder in person by creating in person some kind of insane, impossible, crazy personality that would have craziness basically on display without any fucking limits, for which they hope they're gonna burst into my real life, that I'm gonna start to behave like this. However, in my real life, close to impossible, I was interested in becoming a law enforcement officer, police officer. If the worst would come, if not becoming a law enforcement officer or FBI officer or Central Intelligence Agency officer, which all I have applied for and passed tests, entry tests, I would settle for, let's say, let's say, a prison guard, or maybe border patrol officer, immigration officer, something like this. I didn't think that so exciting, whatever, interesting, but I would still go and do it. The thing is that they turned my life upside down, not only employment itself. They involved co-workers against me, they involved the entire world against me during MK Ultra. I would disappear from that bed in Miami next to this older wife, on and on and on and on. 3 years. 3 years of time, 3 times 364, multiplied by 24 hours, I spent drugged up in my life. Minimum. I would disappear for much of the spring, entire summer, and will return sometimes in fall. This was just a regular. You understand? No, they always made sure, because I was in Florida, that I would find myself, in the snow and stuff like this. There would be something like this. They were very, very careful with it. They knew exactly how to limit, how to coordinate. I was returning back when I rented in Sweden and in Norway just to basically pay monthly bills there. These are the most expensive countries in the world. I took the lowest options available in the market, but they emptied my pockets. They do nothing but sentence me to death. So I don't know what this president of Slovenia today meant by good always wins in the end, and even once it's wins in the end, it's not the end. It's fucking wicked. Let's go back to the issue of this Ukrainian, Eastern European situation. Emmanuel Macron, not only Olaf Scholz, and Italian politicians who seemingly sided, and Spanish politicians seemingly sided with Putin, with Vucic, which these people were sure they managed to convince the whole world against, through my case, against Ukraine, against whom the whole world knew it's going to take war. It's going to take place. War is going to take place in the future. This is very well explained, the way I have explained this stuff right now. Yeah? They were so sure about this stuff that this is just going to go immaculate. It's going to be eventually no resistance from Ukrainian people in Ukraine. He's basically going to ram on my neighbor here. There's a window, and on the other side this is a Miroslav Berger. This was the guy that often traveled to Belgrade during Yugoslavia. This was part of the UDBA. Man who was even on a presidential list, from what I understand, for greater Serbian ethnic state known as Yugoslavia. Yeah? These people are so certain that they have morally eaten out Ukrainian nation from within, that crime at the display is not going to make any difference for anyone. This is just basically like Miroslav Berger told me that I should campaign for the Russia. It's just going to be a matter of sitting inside of the tanks, start the tanks, and then basically throw from one side of Ukraine to another side of Ukraine, where the border is with, Romania and so on and so forth. Because the main thing Mr. Miroslav Berger claimed me, I have to report, he gave me instructions what to tell the Russians on the internet so that they will understand this is how it was. The main thing was, according to him, according to instructions from him, for me to tell was for the Russians to reach the other side of the Ukraine and close the border passings. And once the border passings would be closed, everything would be just done well, because they would cut them from international society. So from any help that could possibly come from the outside, that would be like the number one thing. Vladimir Putin claimed me that his tanks precisely were designed for that task. It's exactly why he wanted them, this Armada tanks, faster than other tanks. Technology basically, which was supplied to the Russia, literally from the United States of America, part from the UK, in other countries, maybe something from Germany too, definitely. A lot of stuff they got for the cash. They were buying, they were trading oil, they were throwing money away, and basically getting the things done the way they wanted. And so convinced it's going to be just a matter of basically convinced that Ukraine is nothing other than walnut, how you say that, lupina shell. And the whole thing is just going to fall apart. As soon as they're going to hit one, it's just going to fall apart. Before you know, the war is going to be over. This is the way it was. Now, on the side, there was also some other stuff that went on. Ukraine was taking serious preparations for this assault. And this is the stuff I don't want to know anything about, because the more they will accomplish with this war for existence, the better for them. So I wish them nothing other than best. I wish everybody nothing other than best. If it was in continuation, as I'm going to explain, for what European Union stands for, which are mostly human relations. Human relations, not only economic relations, we wouldn't even have the war. We wouldn't even have this problem with Russia. We would probably be considering Russia as a European Union member, potential European Union member state. you know, waiting in Cueva to join European Union with other countries so that to throw the money away into mindless self-destruction, pulling behind, along with it, everybody else. Those are called human relations. This is very important in this video. It's very, very important for me to accent about these human relations, because the human relations, interactions, this is my biggest problem when it comes to also. It's actually exactly what pulled Andrzej Duda and Morawiecki into catastrophical 2010 plane crash. Nobody in this world possibly could imagine that these beatings in front of the partisan memorials, that all this stuff would reach climax with marking people on brown-eyed, and I hope you realize I'm brown-eyed and brown-haired. No, Milan Kuchan is blue-eyed, and Boris Pahor is blue-eyed, contrary to myself. How funny, hey? But yet these people, that's also why they always choose. So it doesn't look evident, but obviously so it does look more or less likely. You remember when I talked to you about less likely at the beginning of this video? When it's this kind of stuff that goes on, everything is based on less likely. So they had an idea, to divide the society in as much as possible, and through these divisions, basically then corner whatever is left out of one, basically decimate and completely wipe out, destroy whatever they deemed was a threat to their existence. Talking about Yaroslav and Lech Kaczynski, Morawiecki, Duda. I'm not sure whether this were just evil people, whether this was just evil, because I know that it grew into stuff that led Agata Kornhauser Duda, that's a wife of Andrzej Duda, because of this violence against me, almost into separation from husband. He became high, intoxicated with adrenaline, searched for sex with other females, and engaged in violence against me, threatened, cursed, became obsessed with the idea that something's going to have to be done, And yeah, the more violence they did to me, the more stuff they did to me, the more the people, the more I didn't want to know anything about National Liberation Front. Eventually, Milan Kuchan have gone together with the Prince Charles, now King Charles, as far as convincing me to give away the medals of honor which my grandfather earned during resistance against Germany to my sister, and from my sister handed straight to my aunt over there from Maribor, who married a Montenegrin guy who was close to a general in a so-called Yugoslavia. That's how far this shit will have gone. They have brainwashed me under Mikhailcha to voluntarily give this shit away. In real time, however, I didn't know anything, what the fuck went on, because already in '95 they embedded into this stuff the psychiatrists. It wasn't the 2013 when they eventually came, because I started to talk about this, to institutionalize me. with what my father triggered with a bunch of lies that at night time that I was conversing with the neo-Nazis and that from Germany, and that I was engaging in a physical violence against family members, against him, and so on and so forth, confirmed by my sister, my mother, that kind of stuff. It didn't stop there. The whole bunch of lies they triggered against me, it didn't stop there. They just wanted to get like Andrzej Duda said, they just wanted to get to the bottom of it and ensure that in Poland there will be only Polish, there will be left in Polish and this and that. But I think that nobody in a country with the politicians like this possibly could be safe. You understand? Because the politicians that search for evil, if I go back to the statement of Slovenian President Borut Pahor today, this is something he promised me he would do. If I would do a shitty, not shitty, but if I would only touch this subject, he would go and he would do something, exactly something like this. It's got little to do with good. You know, if you search for evil in everything that is good, and you keep searching till you actually find one, I don't think that's going to do a lot of good in good. I don't think that anybody's fucking good in a system like that. So when I talked to you about the previous video about this idea, about this European integration into European Union, which I hope, very much hope, the Ukraine is going to become a member of, just like Slovakia, Czech Republic, Poland, you have to embrace the idea of interacting with one another, getting involved with the people, not only for the sake of the job search, but basically build human relation with one another. This is what European Union is based on. European Union, it is something that Ukrainian people are very much aware of it. I know that they are very much aware of it, and they don't have this kind of, they don't have a problem with this stuff. But I have a problem. I have a problem because of people like this guy here, because of people like Vladimir Zelensky. These two are personal friends, by the way. The two are personally connected. Vladimir Zelensky had two imitators in Ukraine. Very much my disappointment. Everything was fake about him. Even that he had me in his Italian villa. He brought me there. He claimed inside of the room here that he only had a few million. And that's it. This is not a big guy. This is, they're going to talk to you about how much money I have, and this they're going to post on the media, but don't believe them, and this and that. And then again, the truth, it came out that he has a lot of money, and, you know, Zelensky was not even in the picture when I was. Not even Petro Poroshenko was in the picture. I don't think it's shit likely. Considering all the people that became wealthy or have contributed to my problems through what their state abused for exactly that purpose, I don't appreciate that kind of attitude. I even appreciate less that he went to the Kiev and dedicated to crash of 2010. Talking about Andrzej Duda, you're talking about Morawiecki, Kaczynski. Here in Slovenia, Janša, Janez Janša, statue over there, a plate on the street of Kiev. No, sir, I don't appreciate any of that stuff. He informed me he would have to do that stuff. I don't appreciate it because you're mining me. I don't practically exist. It's what I was told I'm going to be, an alien, lost in space that doesn't exist. So I definitely do not appreciate that kind of attitude. I don't appreciate that kind of approach. Um, Short story about Boucher. Boucher was one of the Slovenian independent politicians, something I didn't have earlier, arrested for bribery, for corruption. This is supposed to be one of the opposition of Milan Kučan got a power. Short story about, let's say, Mr. Thaler, T-H-A-L-E-R, Thaler. He deliberately set himself out with the British so that he would portray Slovenian independence as the form of failure. And such is the story about Janez Janša, and such is the story about Slovenian Janez Janša, to whom he also, Zelensky, dedicated this statue. And such is the story about Jelko Kacin, and such is the story about Lojze Peterle, and such is the story about Dmitry Rupel, and such is the story about Zmago Jelinčić and all other people that got somehow involved in this Slovenian independence. They're a big mistake, they got involved in this case for doing nothing. Not only for me, but for other Slovenian people, which clearly is demonstrating the people who complained to me they suffered misfortunes, which clearly explains me that it was not only for me. The longer the beating went on, the more I was guilty in their eyes. However, what about all those other people? And where is the opposition to Milan Kučan? These people have connected themselves, actually they have searched, they have never connected themselves to anything. These are the people who caused the crash of plane in 2010. Polish plane, these are the originators of this shit. These people have synchronized with the Polish state, which depicted certain politicians, as in Slovenia was Milan Kučan. They depicted certain politicians as their opposition, different political parties. These people have affiliated themselves with, from Slovenia, through this case, with exactly their counterparts, not counterparts, but likewise thinking, let's put it this way, or having closer ideas, like-minded political parties in Poland, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, in Hungary. I would exclude Hungary on that. Hungary is different. Hungary has its own agenda, but Ukraine, as well as in Ukraine. And the only thing that happens was in 2010, in the plane went straight into the taking 100 Polish patriots into nothing other than firm death. That's all the fuck there was. There was no opposition, there was no shit, there was nothing. Nobody, absolutely nobody knew about anything for anything. That's all the hell there was. And the only thing that happened is, this is the guy that you see right there in my background. The only thing that stayed as a memory to me, and it never repeated since 1995, the only thing that I remember, that I can recall, was just beatings, terror, death threats in Russia, taking a different kind of approach, like, you know, if you're going to side with us, it's going to be different. We're going to save you. This is your only solution is with British, Buckingham Palace. I told you that on the side they were doing something else. Officially, they had a relationship like this with them. Officially, they had a friendly relationship with them. Or even if you like, somewhat animosity, if you like, through the media, in MK Ultra, they were very good friends. Okay, in MK Ultra, they were very, very good friends officially. On a surface layer, on a top layer, therefore in the public layer, what you see is, however, they have had a bad relationship. Media always depicted Putin as, you know, I don't want to touch these issues, but it was just a Russian president who always threatened to flew those planes close to Britain, above Alaska and this and that. But during the MK Ultra, they were very, very good friends. Because another friend of all this crime, big friend, big ally, was Donald Trump, husband of Ivanka. Ivanka Trump, the Czech lady, daughter from the KGB guy, from the Czech KGB guy, and later would become also known as Melania Trump. Melania Trump, just 30 kilometers from here. Her father, Udba individual, Bord Pahor Milan Kuchan. So in MK Ultra officially, the theory to go with, the only way to survive, was to go with the Russians and with the Serbs. Don't even think about any other options, which I continue to think about all other options. You understand? While British were trying to prove me that that also is the only option for me, with all kinds of terror, and in Britain and United States, with Americans, with their assistance. It doesn't take a man, it doesn't take a man and a half to do this. It takes a little bit more to get this shit done. It takes somebody that, despite everything I stated, doesn't change his mind, because changing his mind in a process also would equal to self-destruction. We're getting closer and closer to the issue I'm trying to accent. British Buckingham Palace, London, Buckingham Palace, not the British people. British people, when they send me, royals, when they send me on espionage missions to Ukraine on behalf of Vladimir Putin, by using me Nazi issues they managed to trigger in me to provocate Ukrainian people so they could obtain statements and ship those statements to Kremlin. Oftentimes, journalists with whom I was brought up have signaled to Ukrainian people, don't fall for trap. Before I started drugged up to pull all kinds of crazy shit. British people are not bad. Bad is somebody else. Somebody else was really, really bad and all this stuff. Somebody else caused tremendous damage. It was somebody else who was doing this stuff. That you would go and you would start to profile people, literally facially, on a street. First from using me, completely without any crime record, without absolutely anything. Beat me up. Made it completely evident to people that it's a wrongdoing, that it's a crime that's taking place. May loudly praise in Germany tactic as a war against the neo-Nazis and against the future fascism, which did not even exist, as I stated, anywhere in Europe. This is what Milan Kuchan, this is what Moscow, Vladimir Putin tactic was. Today, must be evident to Ukrainian people, therefore. That's why, Ukrainian people are angry with Berlin, not, is what I titled the part one, shouldn't be the case anymore in eyes of Olaf Scholz, Emmanuel Macron, Italian politicians, Spanish politicians, Scandinavian, Norway, Sweden, Finland, European, Holland, with whom you're trying to be member state inside of the European Union, this shouldn't be the fucking case. That is what was the main concern, as Olaf Scholz has stressed to me, something that Joe Biden didn't want me to talk about, something that Prince Charles, King Charles, didn't want to touch me, this subject even about. Further have King Charles now, Joe Biden claimed me that you don't talk about this because we need them. Because we need them. It sounded to me like Andrei Mkiachu that I should just shut up because this was really difficult to explain. But in reality, this stuff is way, way, way more touchy. It sounded to me like they're trying to even portray me as somebody who is taking advantage, who's trying to take advantage of this Ukrainian people, Polish people, and so on, because we need them. We need them for what? For war, obviously, against Russians. Obviously. Obviously. I never searched for war against the Russians. I never searched for war against Serbs. This never was my idea. This never was my idea. I gotta tell you that this was not my idea. This never was in my head that I would want to go and kill these people in Serbia, in Russia, wage war against them or something like this. This is why we need them. This is not was even meant in Prince Charles' head, King Charles now. This is not what was meant inside of the head of Joe Biden. There was something else that was meant inside of their heads. These people simply didn't want me to touch this subject because it's extremely, extremely sensitive subject. Sensitive, so they could make one as sensitive as possible for the Moscow. You see, Joe Biden, Prince Charles, King Charles, if you like, pioneered, engineered, cherished Moscow and Belgrade. They worked for these people since the 1995. They caused as much harm to Bosnian and Croats and to Ukrainians and to Polish people as much as possible they possibly could have done. It was nothing other but harm, damage, the most malicious ways possible. And I'm going to say, how the fuck is that now from your statements evident? Well, you see this guy behind me, that's why I'm recording this stuff. The one who started to pick up this idea about the facial profiling, the one who started to believe that Ukrainian are just not an option to me, that I am just not, they just, I don't know, that the females are not appealing to me, or in that sense. That's how it all sounds to me, but also Ukrainian people. And so when you say that, you know, somebody as a Prince Charles or Joe Biden, something like this, that don't touch this subject, this is actually the subject that these people have brainwashed Ukrainian people, so that the Ukrainian people would succumb on their knees in front of Russia. They wanted to eat their moral. This is a Russian propaganda machinery, espionage, that works this way. They go in every fucking pore of your body and mind, convincing you that you will be better off, convincing you through the royals, literally, to just knee in front of them, in front of the fucking tanks that are coming. And using me was actually used to convince Ukrainian people, foremost, more than Slovak, more than Czech, more than Polish, that their facial characteristics are similar, same as those of the Russians. So therefore, me being fucking hater of the Russians, they should pay special attention to my behavior, because they alone are not fit to be my partners, to be worthy of me. This is how the Russian propaganda machinery worked. Russian propaganda machinery demanded from Ukrainian people for me to see in Ukrainian people as something that is just not appealing. Something that is likewise just as a rejection of Russians and Serbs in the same category. Therefore, it's not worth it to resist. Therefore, it's not worth it to fight back. It's not worth it to fight for your independence. They played extremely dirty, these British royals. They played extremely dirty. It went extremely low for the Putin. I'm not going to forget, in 2002 it was, or whatever it was, and it was not once, they hosted Vladimir Putin, how they cheered over there inside, happy this, and threatening me, both sides, how my fate now is sealed, and this and that. In London, next to Queen Vladimir Putin. They're low, these people go low, low, so low that you don't know, you don't understand these people. Until you fucking know them, until you understand them, how low they can go. There is no low when it comes to these people. And they started to convince not only Ukrainian people, but through Polish people who wanted a piece of Ukraine. They wanted to divide Ukraine between the Russia and between the Poland. They made the sale, and they wanted to give Ukraine like a mentality like, okay baby, cry baby, you can join, you can annex yourself to Poland, to your mother Poland, we'll take whatever is left out of you mentality. You understand? In one part you have a terrible predator, Russia, that goes after Donetsk, Crimea, and takes all the way along the river Dnieper territory. Yeah, and on the other side you have better, compared to Russian, howitzers, which are nothing other than French copies. French gave you all the technology, French gave you, the only thing you did is you copy, paste. Polacks, you didn't produce, it's not your product. That's a French product, it's a French, made in France product. Lada compared to Porsche is the article they demanded from Ukrainian is going to be labeled in the future when you get this. You know, fuck this 2010 plane crash mentality. We got a real fucking problem here. If you go back to Olaf Scholz, Emmanuel Macron, Italy, Spain, if you want to come to the table as a nation, then you're going to have to display a little bit more than the guy that you see right there in the background. What's the deal with the guy in the background? Well, in Russia, in Serbia, I always was a traitor. I was a traitor, that's how they refer to me, a traitor. In Slovenia, Milan Kučan, in his house, in his living room, he was petting cats. You know, he likes cats. He was petting cats, and in front of his daughters, he talked to me about, I want to see this Slovenian German, you know, I want to see this, I want to get to know this Slovenian German, you know, and he was just there, and he was just doing, and you know, just, you know, and as I started to play with the cats, like a baby, basically, under MK Ultra, he couldn't understand himself, basically. He was so fucking insane, this guy, that he just didn't know how he would apologize his crime, really, because it was something humane in front of me, and the daughter saw it, his daughter saw it. She's a beautiful daughter, and you know, his own family members, they were like, fucking, what the fuck, you know, what this. There's much they didn't know about this stuff. I'm sure that Daddy explained them very well. They were really, really worried about his son and his daughter and so on and so forth. They all kinds of tell me, we do whatever the fuck, but don't mention our dad and this and that and so on and so forth. You know, it's hard not to. It's hard not to because your dad was the one who started all this shit. Your dad actually caused a tremendous problem. A tremendous problem. People today in Ukraine, actually it's rivers of blood that are going down like a rain. It's like fucking raining blood all over the place. It's 11 million refugees in Ukraine. It's stuff that your dad did. It's also happened not on a scale like this, but on a scale of the civil war in Poland and in Czech Republic. I have no fucking idea what kind of schizophrenics I came across in the Czech Republic. Mayors of Prague and so on and so forth. This is a fucking insanity. Mayors of Ostrava and so on that were involved in it. What kind of lunacy they pulled? It's just completely unprecedented. Evidently was, without completely any base, without completely anything. In Poland, I have gone as far as breaking my spine to prove these people actually, according to MK Ultra, that's how it will end. But I still was in a complete disbelief because I wanted these people to see me, a Ukrainian and Polish people, co-workers, that I believe in them more than what I believe in employer and Polish state. Simple as this. And so I went all the way to the end, finished that contract for the cost of broken spine, just so that I could be tossed even further in a trash bin, ran over by the politicians that cooked eventually plane crash of 2010. That's why when you have, I have a problem with it. I understand how European politicians feel about this stuff. You have war, and what's going to happen is you're going to send weaponry over there. You have a politician in Poland that is regarding Germans as descendants of murderers, killers, destroyers. And you're going to have these politicians, you're going to put them in the floor, you're going to put their letters, names of the, on the streets of Kiev. That's completely fucked up. That's fucked up. That goes into beyond discrimination. It goes beyond into that is a complete lunacy, man. It's like that everybody would take personal. It doesn't matter. That's like I would go, it's actually crazy. It's so insane that you would go to the black people, and within the black people you would start to look for the black people that are worthy more than other black people, and you would go to Asian people specifically. Let's say you would go to China or whatever, and you would start to I don't know, go and choose Chinese people based on their characteristics opposed to other Chinese people, and then you start to make a selection, and then you would go and you fucking set somebody on fire, whether in his residential building or through the plane crash or the workplace, set him up with misfortunes and so on. This is no place inside of the European Union. European Union, spring of the nations, after the World War II, was based on a free market, free movement, labor force. And Germany was built mainly, when it comes to labor, by the Turks, Turkish, Italians flooded Germany. Slovenian ran to Germany for work, Croats. It was on a foreign labor. In Germany you have 20 million, just as I have demonstrated, 20 million people with non-native German background. And that you're gonna go and you're gonna start the fucking World War III here based on facial characteristics, for which I told you I was rated as a German in Slovenia. Just like, you know, people are rated in Slovakia, they are afraid to look themselves inside of the mirror. They are afraid, boy, to go and apply for the job. They are afraid to, boy, look for the female or for the male that would be appealing to them based on their, let's say, lighter skin features or something like this. This is completely fucked up. This is completely fucked up. Unfortunately, these opposition parties that I mentioned, Yanis Yansha, who also was, his letters are also inside of this thing, in the street of Kiev, Bouchar, Katsin, Loisa Peterle, Dmitry Rupel. These are all the people that the more the shit, that they were all my side, but the more the things progressed, the less they understood me. Finally, the whole world turned against me, and now there is nothing we can help you with anymore. And we don't understand you at all, and now it's our time to beat you up too. This doesn't have a place inside of the Europe. Sorry, doesn't have a place inside of the Europe. This is the Europe that have aligned. These are the politicians from Slovenia. They have aligned themselves for the sake of Milan Kuch and Borut Pahor with your politicians in Ukraine, in Poland, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia. Well, 1995 is today, ladies and gentlemen. Ivan Kramberger, Slovenian pro-independence politician, was murdered in 1992 upon Slovenian independence. The first thing they did, they executed somebody who was Slovenian, and he wanted the spring of the nation. He wanted to take the Slovenian people to Europe, exactly for what I stated, reasons. And the only thing that happened was, during his presidential speech, he had a lot of votes. The only thing, he was executed. So Milan Kučan took, again, the same people from Yugoslavia took lead again in this so-called newly independent Slovenian state. Nobody from this opposition, nobody from this Bouchar, Peterle, nobody was interested in investigating, nobody fucking did anything, nobody farted about anything. The police did absolutely everything for you to know nothing. They relied on the nothing. You understand? Nobody took initiative. They said, hey, Americans had the same thing, they had the same problem, they executed Kennedy. That's what the neighbor here, Kotan family, claiming, hey, it's a normal thing. No, man, this is not fucking normal. This is a newly founded country. This is a newly founded state. This is a newly founded nation, finally independent. And you go and you fucking kill people with the guns, shooting them, throwing them bullets in their backs during the first democratic, what should be democratic elections. It's nothing about this shit is normal. I'm gonna tell you what the fuck is normal. Nothing is normal. And that, my friends, is the politic that Europe is not going to embrace. Europe doesn't like this kind of politic. Europe doesn't want to be part of anything like this. Europe doesn't want to be based on people like, you see this individual here in the back. He stated me, maybe, you know, maybe this guy is actually more Ukrainian than what I think. Maybe he did this to remind me of what the fuck went on, because this guy is strange, he liked me. So I don't even know, but he definitely pissed me off for me to bring this issue on. If, that's what he stated in the back, maybe, as I stated, just to remind me, if, because supposedly I didn't like his facial features, those, they look similar to my grandfather anyways, somehow, but it doesn't matter. If, okay, no Germany is not gonna be, you have to support, you have to, because of what I said to you earlier, yeah? In video number 1, I said to you how in Slovenian media, Slovenian politicians have gone and have selected the people that Slovenian people whose features remind features of those classic typical in Russia or Ukraine or in Poland and elsewhere. Claiming me, that was Milan Kujan, that was Borut Pahor, that the people here inside of Slovenia, they told me, they're all going to have this kind of features, they told me. Just going to be all with this kind of facial features, the features like yours, the features of Slovenian people and so on, they're going to be gone, they're going to be wiped out. One of the things we're going to implement, they told me this, it's going to be through the news, through the media, where you're going to see the latest men, all the reality shows, all kinds of stuff like this, sports people, it's going to be all, it's going to have those kind of facial features. This is not the reality. This is not the reality that the media, the newspapers, with those facial features, this is just not the reality, this is not what it is. So if you start doing this, and they started doing this shit 28 years ago, they started to portray something, they started to create the curtain with something that essentially was designed for the wipeout in the background to create illusion, to create a picture for the sake of future different composition of the population, isn't it true? Further, you had Borut Pahor, let's say, choosing the sports people based on their Serbian background with whom he have associated himself, like let's say Doncic. The cousin of Doncic, who was involved in Kyoto way before, Mr. Luka Doncic, talking about the NBA star. It's another made star through his trainer that was involved in American trainer that was involved in MKUltra case since 1995 and who also was in Poland and this and that. And a Polish guy from Germany with a Polish background, German guy, was from Serbia, the cousin of Luka Doncic, who would take me inside of the village to the grandfather in Bosnia of Luka Doncic. His name was Srbobran, yeah, Srbobran. Serbian defender was the name of Luka Doncic's grandfather. He's a Serbian so much that it was a Serbian village, it couldn't be more. Fanatic, Chetnik with one word for me to declare. Okay, you understand? Before this Luka even existed anywhere on the stage, this is the shit that went on inside of the Bosnia with me. Yeah, I went with his Kyoto staff members. That's exactly how Luka Doncic got on the picture. The next thing you see him, he's posing inside of the even presidential palace with Milan Kucan. The thing is, under MKUltra, this guy posed inside of the presidential palace already on several occasions with Milan Kucan, next to Borut Pahor. They intimidated. They didn't only do, you know, whatever is that good always wins in the end. And even when the good wins in the end, it's not the end. Listen to me. They fucking intimidated. They provocated. You know what the provocateur is? Provocatorship. They tortured, basically. They tortured inside with the issues that it serves that are taking over the whole fucking thing. In my case, they embedded absolutely as many Serbian people as possible on every step of the way. And when you find yourself in this kind of environment, you're sure that your defense mechanism is going to react, or you're fucking retarded, damn it right. Most of the time when your defense mechanism reacts, it's well anticipated by the psychiatrists, the people who design this kind of crime, outcome inside of the jail when it comes to the police shooting, exchange and stuff like this. Not, however, in this case. So I need to declare this, that European leaders have a very strong, very justified, based on a social engineering, cleansing therefore, concerns. And then we go again back into the issue of 1995. We go again back to this German who reminded me of this issue. He probably did reminded me more than anything else, because I didn't fucking even get what the fuck to him now, this issue with which Russians have bombarded me. And his issue was, well, it's gotta be Ukrainian. Well, I never had a problem with that stuff. Based on my preferences from MKUltra, I am not going to even go and try to excuse myself that I didn't see as more desirable under MKUltra a blonde than brunette. I definitely did. I'm not going to go and excuse. I'm not going to even try to excuse myself. I don't know what shit I did in his case. I don't know. Maybe I have no idea what they did, what they pulled on me, wherever the case might be. They were doing all this stuff like this. So they always got their right, their Nazi right. So they could go and search for more people on the street and provoke them, and claiming that they are just doing the same thing like you're doing on a field. And that's basically cleaning the field from invasive species and so on, grass, whatever. Because he knew that the war in Ukraine is coming, okay? He said, even if he stressed this, even if the war is, I will become Russian, but I will never become German. You understand? Well, this was the issue they pulled mostly on me in Ukraine, in Belarus, in Russia, in Serbia. It was a traitor. Then it was, but you're not a traitor, and you're not traitor. And they developed a system within which they compelled me to, for me to accept from people that I interacted, and in whose eyes apparently I present a German, that if it's gonna have to be, it's gonna be a Russian, but it never ever would be a German. That was basically the concept. And this was the concept that was repeated through numerous, unlimited amount of people. However, this concept have the roots I told you about. These are the roots I told you about. I am not here to make a German propaganda. I'm not here to spread German sentiment, German inclusion of Ukraine, German inclusion of Poland, the German inclusion of Czech Republic, German inclusion of Slovakia, German inclusion of Slovenia or Croatia, something like this, Bosnia. No, this is not what the fuck I'm here for. This is not my task. This was not my task. But let me explain to you, and that's very personal. We're gonna go to what I indicated to you, the fuck out Slovak, Czech, Polak, Ukrainian, and so on issue. We're gonna go to the Spring of the Nations issue. The Spring of the Nations. We're gonna go to the Montenegro. We're gonna go to the Belarus. We're gonna go to those appealing women I told you about. And I told you about, there was a lot of more appealing women I have found in Belarus than I found in Poland. Under MKUltra, they more appeal to me women. The most of the appealing women that bumped in actually was in Belarus. They had this woman, whatever, they had women everywhere, whatever they want to portray as a reality. You know, this is a woman, beautiful here and there, everywhere, wherever it is. But, you know, the plane crash of 2010, it was coordinated with Vladimir Putin by the Polish government. It was coordinated with Medvedev, with the Lavrov. You understand? It was not an action, it was not a bomb only placed by the Polish government. They connected, they coordinated the same way like our opposition politicians coordinated crime against Slovenian people here in Slovenia with Polish politicians. If you like Polish opposition, maybe, whatever you want to call them, and Czech oppositions, and Slovak and Ukrainian oppositions, we're going to go to the spring of the nations. The core idea of the European Union, which should be based not only on economic relations, not even only on freedom of movement, but interrelations, personal relations, marriages, not only tourism, the right to marry according to, as please to whomever you like, whatever you want to do, intermingle, whatever. And this is even crazier because in my case, before I immigrated to the US, I dated a Serbian, how many? Well, one was from Ljubljana, that was this Zvezda, Prijatelj Mladine was Alexandra, I don't know, maybe her name was even Vučković or something like this. That's completely insane shit I should never be talking about. But I will talk about, because I don't like to see myself in a mirror and fucking hate myself. I don't like the idea about our people look at themselves in a mirror and fucking hate themselves based on their physical looks, based on fear, choose, preferences, develop the preferences for whatever intermingle with and so on and so forth. I don't like that kind of idea. Nobody's going to force this shit to me. Yeah, you took away from me the right to be American citizen, which I obtained in 2000. You had opportunity to fuck me in more than a dozen countries for me to assimilate inside. But fuck you. This here is my country where I was born. And this one stays mine. Wherever the fuck you're from, you need to understand that even if you don't like the idea that, obviously that you don't like the idea that I look different, that's what bothers me the most about this whole thing. Obviously that you don't like the idea about other people like different, because already the people, as I stated, from other Eastern European countries started to develop idea that I have to, Zelensky, that I have to agree with the power. We have to agree that we have to look Eastern European, that we have to keep that physique, that we have to keep, you know, this kind of paranoia, otherwise Germans are going to take over, you know. If you're going to talk stuff like this was from Morawiecki, then the Germans, you know, then the Germans are going to do to you a tra-la-la-la-la, and they say, oh, fuck you, keep that shit to yourself. If you think that my face was insult, that my face is insult to you, then if you think that people inside Europe are insult to you, then fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. The fuck out. Go back to what you used to be, part of the Soviet Union. I don't even understand why the fuck did you separated from the Soviet Union or from the Serbia when it comes to Montenegro, which actually threatened me, that Montenegrins threatened me that if I'm not gonna like them, that if I'm not gonna like them, that's gonna be, they're gonna annex back to Serbia and stuff like this. This is totally fucked up. The same shit was in Belarus. the country for which I knew that never was part of the Belarus, that always was a part of the Russia. These are the two countries I already told them ahead of time. I told them that I don't even consider them as independent countries when they started with the stuff like this. You didn't go fucking independent because of me. If you don't know why you went independent, then that's your fucking problem. Nobody's forcing you into your independence. But you're not going to bring that kind of sickening failure attitude, that kind of viral loser attitude to me in Slovenia. Oh, fuck you, you will not. Wherever you're from, that's what I was trying to tell you in video number 1. You're not going to bring any of that shit here. You're going to keep this shit to wherever the fuck you are coming from, to yourself. And if you have expectations for the people from Europe to take you seriously, so that they will see you as a partner, so that they will see themselves in you enough to put their lives at risks. Russia is a nuclear state, armed to teeth. And you need to understand that for every German tank, for every French tank, for every Italian tank, Spanish tank, Scandinavian tank that enters Ukraine, there are certain risks that are involved in this stuff. This is not a fucking Atari game. This is not the Pang Pang Pack. What's the name? The Pac-Man game or something like this? This is a war. This is a bloodshed. So if you don't know what exactly you are fighting for, because this was also involved in Ukraine, if you're not going to support this kind of concept, the concept of ethnic cleansing in Slovenia for the sake of the Eastern European face, which is going to join back to the Russia, into the USSR or whatever, this is your business. It's your business to ensure that you do the stuff which is the most convenient for you. You do the stuff for which you deem is right for you. But other people's nations, they have to ensure their national integrity, their freedoms, I should say, their right to existence. And let me tell you, just as I stated to you in video number 1, there's no nation that is sovereign nation that is going to tolerate somebody around, a sheep, a black sheep that's going to go and is going to infest others with a similar type of thinking. Because to me, overall, when you think about it, this kind of mentality is nothing than mentality of the USSR. A big concern of Kaczynski, Kaczurinsky, Kachuro, Morawiecki and Duda was how to create a non-war option between the Germany and between the Poland. What should we do? Pathetic, that pity fucking face from Kaczynski, fucking insulting. For every Polak should be a fucking insulted face. Fucking miserable motherfucker, killer, murderer, assassin, bastard. What would we do? What to do to make? Why was the World War II? Why happened the World War II? This was the philosophy. It was all based on the philosophy, like every MK Ultra. A deep philosophy. What? If we had all the same faces, why is it becoming the war that's in the World War II? What did Denmark want? It was a different faces. It was a different faces. So if the faces would be more similar, the Germans would not start the war. They would not just kickstart the war because it would be, the problem is when on one side of the border and another side of the border there are different faces. So what we're going to do is we're going to just make a same facial features, and then there's going to be no fucking tanks running at us. Yeah. That's what Kaczynski stated. That's what Kaczynski stated, that this would be a solution to it. But his philosophy was exactly what I have described in these two videos. His philosophy is actually a war declaration on European Union. His philosophy is very, very, very simple, is to cluster the European Union to the complete failure of the European Union, decimate everybody, even different looking, definitely decimate everybody different thinking, make everybody inside the Eastern European looking the same, and then basically assimilate back into the big USSR, Soviet Union. Nothing to do with the Germany. It only has got to do with a plane crash of 2010. A crash, a murder of 100 Polish patriots. That's all the fuck has got to do with it. Komorkowski was just a regular Polish face. I probably myself have a face more or less like Komorkowski. He put a lot of weight on it, but this is just a regular Polak that I liked him based on his simple, regular Polish facial features, and he didn't have a problem with me. He started to take me along with him to his private surroundings, to his private locations. Nothing so new. The same shit went on with Sikorsky. The same shit went on with this first Polish president. But in the background of all this, there was something else that was running. And before you know, Komorkowski, I don't know what the name is. Komorka, actually, that's a cellular telephone, so I don't know. Komorowski was the president at the time of the plane crash. Well, they got to him through his wife, and he started to gain, he fell into depression, he started to gain weight, and the only thing that happened was when he got handed this presidential chair, it was nothing other than beating in his social surrounding. He did become a president, he did got a little bit more money, whatever. He got his Polish title as a president, but it was Andrzej Duda, it was a Kaczuro, that got 100 people killed, and Poland divided on half. And it's the system, it's a politic he thinks, just like he did with the plane of 2010, he's going to use to put Poland and Ukraine and everybody else back into the big USSR. It's a final dream of Vladimir Putin. So for me personally, either division of Ukraine into something that is going to be used by the Polacks, who contributed exactly nothing to the European Union, came out of fucking nowhere, joined, and would already like to change the European Union according to their tastes. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say this. I just have to say, till eventually I receive the apology for the crime against me, I will not change the opinion, I will not change the view on Poland. I have to take a stand like this. I have to take a negative stand against people that dare eventually to support such option. Now I only have 1% here. I have to take this position. I have to do my part, not as a German, but despite nothing I have, literally, if you want to say citizen of the European Union member state, no, just as a human being. I have to play my part. I have to stand up against this. I have to pay respect to myself. I just gotta do it. I have to warn about this type of I simply have to warn about this type of practice is not acceptable. A simple thing. It's more than 2 hours long, this video. A simple thing. This is not even about politicians who planned all this war together. They all interacted with one another, and which had a concern about these issues that I mentioned. This is more. This is about paying myself a respect as a human being. You know. What exactly motivated Mr. Zelensky to use two doppelgangers in Ukraine? Zelensky, who knew Prince Charles personally too. Those kind of issues. Those are issues that, and Prince Charles was excited about the prospect of my not being able to completely identify Zelensky, future Zelensky star in Ukraine. This is really about me paying respect to myself as a human being and basically rejecting this type of, you know, all the females, Russian females that I found appealing, or some Serbian, whatever it was. They were just present on the picture during MK Ultra. In real life, none of that stuff was complete. My real life was completely different. When I returned from the United States of America in 2006 for the first time after 11 and a half years, I exited the United States of America, just as I stated, except on 3 occasions, to Ecuador, to the parents of my ex-wife, with my ex-wife. I found myself eventually forming a political party, trying to run for the president of Slovenia, and completely contrast based issues than those issues that these politicians have misrepresented me during MK Ultra. My political party name was Prenova, and everybody at RTV Slovenia, which is a state-owned company, media house, noticed that my statute was based on equality for everybody. I have further found myself placing personal ads because dating online was very popular at that time through the Serbia, and you could actually find me placing ads, personal ads in Belgrade. You could find me in Novi Sad and Kragujevac and Niš and God knows what else, and back and forth and this and that. Oh, I really didn't. I was not the one. You got the wrong person here. You got a completely wrong person. And the people for whom you, by the way, you knew they're fucking evil. You knew that they are evil. You advocated them for the cost of, you know, for the cost of land sale in Ukraine. That's what Zelensky is. Zelensky is a broker. He's a broker, you know. That's why, for me, Ukraine is an innocence. For me, Ukraine is a nation, European nation, that is worthy to fight for. I have a faith in Ukrainian people, strong faith, and I have a faith in Polish people that would accept as equal not only Ukrainian people, against whom Poland have waged historically atrocities through the serfdom. It was known as a serfdom. It was a slavery of Ukrainian people, but also through the Germany, through the equality that we inside of the Europe would not have to worry about basically interacting with one another, but would set ourselves free based on, well, you know, our social surroundings, our freedom-based, freedom-founded liberties, basically. Because this is bigger. This is the European Union. I strongly believe in, as I stated in video number 1. Russia and Serbia, that's a slaughterhouse. That's a slaughterhouse. That's a slaughterhouse. That's whoever wants to go to Russia and Serbia. What can I tell you? Let them in and watch your people fall apart. Burn, die left and right, till the country is consumed by hell, basically. You understand? So this video, I know many didn't want me to publish one. I know that many people had a problem with my publishing this video, but for me it's an important piece of evidence as well. Germans did not invade you in Ukraine. Germans didn't go, that's a piece of shit. Nobody came in Ukraine from Germany to kill you or to Poland. You know, you have to fight for this rights. You have to fight for your spring of the nations. Spring of the nations. You have to fight for your freedoms. You have to fight. You have to fight for your rights, for your right, basically. I don't know what to tell you. I think Europe is a wonderful thing. I think that the most beautiful thing about Europe is the diversity, because every country in Europe you go, it is a completely different culture. It's a different people. They make different cars. Every country has its own personality, and why the hell not? What is so bad when it comes to trade, relations, travel to Ukraine and enjoy yourself next to a lake, river, Black Sea, maybe meet some lady, or what is it so bad when you go to work from Ukraine to Germany or to Italy, or I don't know what place, and you meet somebody somewhere and you form your family, and I don't know anything about you know, I think that this is actually what's strengthening these little nations, this spring of the nations versus a giant apparatus that is connected to China, literally to a fascism, literally to a Nazism, that's formed into one big monster that is forming and is about basically to go and consume the entire world. That sucks. That's not good. This ideas about so-called re-education in these Chinese intern camps, as they call them, for this poor Uyghur minority and Tibetans over there in Tibet, and you know, this preparation, this crazy Taiwan invasion. You know, how we're gonna melt down Taiwan, you know, and we're gonna melt down South Korea, you know, and we're gonna melt down Japan. We're not gonna fucking stop anywhere. And Ukraine, you know, and this Kaczynski is ideology about facial indifferences that leads literally through annexing whatever is going to be left out of Ukraine into Greater Poland, and then the whole thing back into the fucking Soviet Union. Doesn't appeal to me. So I think that this video I was due. It's complicated to understand. We're gonna be Russians, but we're never gonna be Germans. Doesn't work here. This doesn't work here. It's an atrocious statement. for somebody even more atrocious to come from another Eastern European country and actually join this kind of views of somebody who thinks that even when, you know, good always wins, and even when good wins, it's not end. Kind of sucks. Thanks for watching this video. I hope I made myself clear. I definitely am unapologetic. I don't have nothing to be apologetic to the people who cause nothing other than trouble. Talk about that picture of Princess Anne this morning. It was like a picture like her face, and then it was like everything in her background fast moving. Fuck you. You're not worthy to be a piece of this. You're not part of this thing. This is the part that I did it myself. You had two doppelgangers of Zelensky inside of Ukraine. That's you. You played officially with Russians, Serbs during MK Ultra. That's what you did. You played with them all along. That was the official thing. And it was nothing other than beating during MK Ultra. It was compelling me into collaboration on them on the side to give the signal that it could be different or something like this, that you actually that you're going to help you know, Ukrainian people and this and that. But you know, this is just a big fucking land sale. It's a brokerage business, and we know how it goes. Here, however, as I stated to you, that's the only thing I have. You took everything away from me, and this is where I was born. I'm not going to give you just like this, and I'm also not going to give you a right. You didn't win this. You didn't prove that I was the one who, you know, was behind this war against Ukraine, which you desperately also wanted to accomplish. No, none of this stuff. Thanks for watching this video. I hope I clarify all the issues to you that you understand. Clean this stuff, these issues that involve plane crash of 2010, and don't get on the way of the people. Whichever way they look, do your fucking business, or I should say mind your own fucking business. Don't get into a civil war during the war. I find it strange that this guy Slava Balbek would actually go and you know, appear himself on a news and a media like this during such a horrific times. I know he's doing a very, very important role over there, that he's helping people, also with the jobs, with everything. I know this is the stuff that I know, but you know, if he's doing so good, if everything, you know, you should really concentrate yourself on you know, on other issues, not on me. I don't know. That's why this kind of politicians like Zelensky, this kind of turbo theft, this is the turbo theft, or this artificially made people that royals embedded, Washington DC embedded, with not a single good intention in this case. These are not any good intentions in this. There is no good intention in it. So they can giggle, you know, so they can. It's not okay. None of this stuff is okay. And this is Prince Charles, King Charles. Yeah, this is for me, this is a living symbol of a complete idiot. He was, as I started this video in Slovenia, when he appeared here in 1995, they were going like this into him, like this, yeah, like this. What the fuck, you know, this British royal, what he looks like. It was actually intimidating to me to stand next to him when he went to meet people. It was fucking intimidating to me because how can I say, he didn't look like I don't know, what they applauded big time. You know, he didn't have the facial features to what they applauded, and he had witnessed to what exactly have happened to other kings that came to Slovenia. You know, he witnessed how they threw them, how Milan Kučan basically insulted them before he had them insulted so they would not reappear here again. You understand me? And so I don't know what to tell you, man. This is like very, very pathetic when they insult you based on your physical looks, basically, and you go and you say you demote yourself, you fucking, you know, humiliate yourself basically in front of people like this, in order to take a stand, you know, and declare them that their behavior is actually really not acceptable, and so on and so forth. However, that was his strategy. It paid him off financially very well, whatever. But I don't agree with it, and I'm never going to accept this as a part of me as anything that I had to do with it. It's a disgrace. It's a shame.